This episode of Passing the Plate is sponsored by Storied Book Recipes from Storied. Welcome to Passing the Plate, the podcast that's all about food, traditions, and the incredible connections they create. I'm Ashley Cavelli, the food writer and recipe developer behind Big Flavors from a Tiny Kitchen.
And I'm Lisa Lisson, the genealogist and family history expert behind Are You My Cousin? We are your guides on this flavor-packed adventure. We're not just talking about recipes. We're diving into family history, exploring new cultures, and preserving favorite recipes for future generations. In short, we're celebrating the stories and tastes that come with every bite.
So grab a seat at the table and let's head out on a journey of flavor, tradition, and connection. This is Passing the Plate, where every episode is a feast for the senses and a celebration of togetherness. National Farmers Market Week is August 3rd to 9th, 2025. Whether you've never been to your local market before or you're a longtime shopper, we hope this episode will inspire you to get familiar with the people behind the farm stand. According to farmersmarketcoalition.org, 2025 marks the 26th year of this annual celebration that highlights the vital role farmers markets play in our nation's food system. The intent of this week-long celebration is to help boost market attendance and visibility, as well as showcase the value markets bring to their communities through fun events, programs, contests, activities, and more. Lisa, do you ever shop at farmers markets?
Oh, absolutely. Probably not as often as I would like to or think about it, but I do like to shop at farmers market. We actually have a really fantastic state farmers market here in North Carolina, and so it is open all year round. And so, obviously it changes by the season what's available from the farmers, but it's really, I love to go because it's a fun place to try things. It's a fun thing, a place to get, say, the fresh heirloom tomatoes, or I think of those tomatoes really as kind of that my grandfather used to grow. I wouldn't necessarily, yes, you can get heirloom ones as well, but just the older ones as opposed to the hothouse ones that you get today. Or, this time of year, we're coming up, it's becoming a watermelon season, tomato season. It's really such a great time to go. And I love to taste all the different varieties that they offer when you're out there. So there's just nothing better really than having a watermelon that was like in the field in the morning, so that when you cut into it, it's still got that, it's warm. I don't mean warm as in like hot or anything like that, but you can just tell. I mean, it's never been refrigerated and it's just fresh. It's that kind of warmth. Does that sound weird?
Hey, we love weird around here. So,
right.
But yeah, I agree. Farmers market tomatoes, that's like, a fresh in-season tomato is a thing of beauty. I'm lucky to have quite a few farmers markets within like a really short drive of where I live here in the Hudson Valley in New York. But beyond that, one of my favorite things to do while I'm traveling is to actually check out local farmers markets. So you can really get a sense of like what types of items are grown and what's in season, especially if we're like away and we're staying somewhere with a kitchen, because I can actually keep some of the items fresh and cook with them and keep them on hand for the week or whatever. But a lot of farmers markets also have prepared foods, at least around here. So you can get sometimes a meal and ingredients all locally made.
No, I see a variety of that, both at the state farmers market, which is much larger, but also at the smaller the smaller farmers market, say in the smaller communities within the town. I noticed that there's one just this past weekend in my local town. Unfortunately, it rained, but so I actually didn't make it this week. But they have started having them twice a month, and so it's a great way to go and try out new things. Definitely the prepared things that you're seeing. I know last year when my husband and I were in Hawaii, and there was one. I don't know if you call it a farmer's market, but I call it a farm stand, kind of a similar concept. And they were famous for their banana bread. In fact, we actually, my husband had researched them and we sought them out to buy their banana bread. But it's to be able to one, keep up with what's in season, but to try those different varieties when you travel is fun to do, because you can imagine going someplace like Hawaii, which is quite different, than where I live. But, but it could be going from here to New York. Your vegetables and your seasons are different at different times of the year. So to be able to try new things that I wouldn't necessarily get down here at my local farmers market is really probably one of my favorite things, and one of the reasons my husband and I like to do that when we travel.
Well, yeah, and I have a feeling farm fresh produce in Hawaii is really, really nice. I've never
Oh
been, but
yes. Oh
yeah.
yes. I saw things
Um,
growing. I was like, so that's what that plant looks like. I've never
oh
seen it.
wow. Yeah. So you mentioned that you have a state farmers market that's open every day. Can you explain that format to me? Because where I live, it's more like either a roadside pop-up, like a farm, like a little just like a little truck with some stuff on it, or a specific location that has different tents that's usually open like once a week. Usually, a lot of times it's a Saturday or Sunday out here. And I've seen the roadside ones more frequently when we drive down to Maryland every year, but I don't see it too often here.
Yes, absolutely. So we definitely have the roadside or the pop-ups, depending on where you are, what town or what your community does. But the state farmers market it's in Raleigh, and it is kind of a permanent place. So it has permanent structures there. So it has some buildings. It has a restaurant, a fish
Ooh.
restaurant, and then it has one, I think it's just one, maybe two permanent closed-in buildings, and they typically sell things that are North Carolina products. And they're open. They can be open year round. Now, I don't know that they're open, long hours in the wintertime, but they,
Right.
are open pretty much year round. And I think as I say that, I don't think they've changed it in the recent years. But if you're interested, you definitely would want to call and make sure they're open. But they have those types of things where you can walk in, and predominantly North Carolina products, but still kind of country store type of products that you might find in other places as well.
Mm.
But then they also have one or two large kind of open structures, not semi, they are open structures, but they're permanent covered structures like that. And that's where on the weekends that the farmers will pull up,
Oh,
and
okay.
park their trucks and have their booze in that. And it might be, you have a bakery over there, and then you might have, some of the farmers will rotate through. I've seen landscaping and nursery things there more toward, obviously the spring season. You can get flowers and plants. Fall, tons of pumpkins. And it's really fun to go in the fall when the pumpkins are there, because there's just so many pumpkins.
Oh
That's a lot
yeah.
of fun.
And they get the fun
'Cause
shaped ones too when you get like from a farm. They're like all the
yeah.
bubbly looking ones and different colors. Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So you have the gourds and the regular pumpkins and just all there's, I think they call them heirloom pumpkins, I think. I'm not
Mm.
sure. But so we have that, and that does pretty much, I believe that runs year round. That maybe in the heart of the winter, not so much, but you there's almost always something going on. There's also another restaurant on site too that uses North Carolina products. So
That's really
there's
smart to have a restaurant there where they're using the products. Like that's
mhm,
such a great idea.
yeah. And so there's always something there. There's always something kind of going on. Predominantly, what's really happening and what we go for is the weekend stuff, which is the local produce, and people will bring it in from other parts of the state as well.
Yeah. So some of our local farmers markets will move to indoor locations during the winter, like either like a school gymnasium or something like that. Are yours open? Well, you said yours are open all year round, but you said something about rain last weekend. Did you just not go because it was raining, or do they close when it's raining?
Okay, so that would be just the local pop-up one.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they have, depends on how hard it rains or if we're having
Okay.
storms in the area. So that doesn't really, the rain would affect probably how many people come, and how
Right.
many sellers come at the state one. But the pop-up one was the one I was going to pop up to the local one, and unfortunately with the rain I decided not to. So
Yeah.
maybe
And
next time I will.
one of the things I love is that the markets are so much more than just like fruits and vegetables. They have a lot of other things too, like, milk, eggs, meat. A lot of ours have some fun cheeses. They've got baked goods, fresh cut flowers. Ours have a lot of specialty items like either olive oils or locally produced wines and spirits. And then the even bigger ones, because they vary in sizes and numbers of producers that are there, but some of the bigger ones have live music or kids activities. It's just like there's so much there, and it's a great way to really feel the community, I feel like.
I agree. It really is. So the one, because I live in a small town just on the edge of White County, um, the farmers market is kind of a community. It feels like a community event. It's at a local brewery. They have a beautiful side yard, and so you can get all kinds of vendors come, and I love the fresh flowers. They're some of my favorites to do
Mm.
that. But have you ever been to one that had like beekeepers and honey? So I'll see a lot with those. And when we go to the mountains, I can remember as a kid going and buying honey up there with my grandparents would buy honey, and my parents, because they liked I can't remember the name of the tree, but they liked the flavors of the honey that they bought in the mountains as
Oh,
opposed
okay.
to local. And it has to do with the trees and the flowers that the bees go to.
Yeah. I, are you, so we definitely have a couple producers that'll have honey or like bee pollen. Have you ever used bee pollen?
Never used it. I've heard of it, but
Yeah.
I've never used it.
It's supposed to have a lot of health benefits. I don't know. I'm not, I'm not
Yeah.
qualified to judge that, but I do like sprinkling it like on parfaits and stuff. It's nice.
Does it taste like honey? Is it that
You know,
sweet?
it's been a while since I've had it. I don't recall it having a ton of flavor. It looks cool. They're like little kind of yellowish pellets.
Mm.
I don't remember it having a ton of flavor, but now maybe I'll need to pick some up the next time I go.
So and try it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and there's one place near us that does it's not oh no, it's not at a farmer's market. They do an annual plant sale, and they'll have beekeepers there with like the one little diagram that shows, or not the diagram, it's like a slice from a hive kind of that's behind
Hmm.
glass, so that like especially kids can see how the bees are going in there and everything. And that's like, it's a pretty cool experience. And also to be able to approach bees in a way where you're not going to get stung because they're enclosed in
I
something.
have that at our state fair every
Mm,
year in the agricultural building. And
yeah.
I love it, and it's really themed because they're like, can you find the queen? And of course, you
Yeah.
stand there looking through all the queen. And the funny thing is we're talking about these bees and honey because one, I'm thinking I'm out of honey and I need to go to the farmer's market and get some. And two, I'm like, I like to watch beekeepers on YouTube and watch them and how they get the hives. And it's really
Mm,
educational, quite frankly. I've learned so much
yeah.
about them. And, while I'd love to have like bee box, or what do you call it? Bee boxes. I'd love to raise bees, but I'm a little scared of bees too, so that probably wouldn't work out too
Yeah. I have
well.
a
I
friend who
think about it.
tried, and she like trained with somebody who'd been doing it for a long time. It didn't end up working out for her, but it would be a cool hobby if you could
Mhm.
swing it.
This episode of Passing the Plate is sponsored by Storied Book Recipes from Storied.
You know what's almost as powerful as the taste of your grandma's apple pie? The handwritten recipe card that it came from. Those stained, faded recipe cards hold more than just ingredients. They tell so much more about your family's story.
I wish I'd asked my grandmother to write down her famous in our family recipe for her cornbread and her pecan pie, so I could share those with my own children. Storied Book Recipes solves that problem precisely. The platform lets you easily preserve and share family recipes across generations.
With Storied Book Recipes, you can capture ingredients, steps, and the stories behind them, like how much liquid to add to that cornbread recipe, or how to make the perfect pie crust.
You can digitize handwritten recipes, add photos of the finished dishes, and turn them into beautifully crafted, custom printed cookbooks. You can also share the stories privately with your family online.
Storied Book Recipes is part of the larger Storied platform, which helps you preserve family traditions and history, not just what's on your plate.
Our listeners get 20% off their first year when they visit storied.com/plate or use code PLATE at checkout. Don't let another family recipe disappear. Capture your food traditions with Storied Book Recipes.
So I think sometimes people can be a little intimidated at the thought of going to a farmer's market if they haven't been before, but we have some tips that can help you out and make it feel a little more approachable. So the first thing I would say is if you want to get the most variety, go early. And for potentially great deals, go late when they're closing up, because a lot of times vendors will want to get rid of things and they're willing to part with them for less money so they don't have to repack them into their trucks and bring them back to the farms.
Exactly, exactly. The other thing you want to do is bring cash, because many will take credit cards, but the processing fees can make it, cuts into their profits when it comes to using credit cards. So I usually will always make sure I have some cash with me. I have noticed that just kind of as time has gone by, that more people are taking cash. It's much easier these days, and since so many people are, have the cell phones and are paying electronically, I am seeing more of that than I used to.
Yeah, I know. I as convenient as it is to pay by card, I try to keep cash on me for situations like this, especially like for me, my little silent protest. If I can give the extra money that would be a fee to the actual person making the items versus, quote, the man, I would rather do that. So just, I agree though. If you can bring cash, it's a good thing. Also, if you see something you're not familiar with, ask. Often people at the stands also work at the farms and they're extremely knowledgeable about the ingredients and how to use them. I've found some really interesting and like new to me even types of produce that and meat that I'd otherwise have no idea how to use. They a lot of times will have a really great insight on how to prepare the ingredients or tell you, give you tips on other things to pair with them. So they have really, really fun insights, and I don't see a ton of people asking questions. So I think it might also help break up their day, make it a little less monotonous to have like a conversation instead of just, here's how much you owe me next.
I agree. I do like to talk to them because one of the things that I'm interested in, or oftentimes, or maybe the things that I haven't had very often, or kind of new to me, varieties of. I think of tomatoes. We're going into tomato season, so I've got tomatoes on my brain, and yeah, to really, I'm like, oh, so what is this one good for, and how to do it? Because I just don't have that knowledge. Now, my grandfather could have told you anything and everything about anything you want to grow, pretty much.
Yeah.
But that gene didn't actually come down to me, so I'm relying on memory and asking the farmers.
And sometimes you'll see something that looks like a crazy vegetable, like might look like came from outer space. Like some of them look really wild, and unless you know what to do with it, you don't want to just buy it and have it sit and go bad in your refrigerator. So I think that's actually how I first discovered kohlrabi, was at a farmer's market, and I said, what do you do with this? Can you eat it raw? Do you have to cook it? On some plants, I'll ask if the leaves are edible, because they're not always.
So another thing that I like to do, Ashley, is make sure you just bring your own reusable bags. They will have like a plastic grocery bag kind of thing that they might have been recycling themselves, but I actually, I just make sure I take my own reusable bags. It's, certainly more environmentally friendly to do that. And I try to do that regardless of where I shop, whether it's the farmer's market or the grocery store. I do take my own bags.
Yeah, same. My favorite, and I just keep them in the car. Like I just keep them in the car always. Sometimes you then do have to turn around and go back to the car because you forgot it. Or if you have one of those little collapsible ones that you can like fold up into your purse, maybe that'll do. But my favorite are those big insulated ones from Trader Joe's, because they're nice and roomy inside, and they can be wiped down easily when they get dirty, which PSA, wash your reusable grocery bags. They do get funky. Wash them every once in a while, please.
That's true. I have one of those insulated bags, but I actually just keep a cooler. I have a soft-sided cooler that stays in my car.
Yeah.
And then when I go out, I take cooler packs with me because it just gets so hot here.
Oh yeah, that's true.
This time of year.
I probably would do that with a cooler in the car, except my husband's a musician, so more often there's instruments going in and out of the back of the car. So if he's got to take more than he already has to take out of the back with all the grocery bags, I think he would kill me.
Oh no, I totally get it. It's just, I love the totes. It's like, I always need like so many of them. So that's why I started going with the cooler.
Yeah. Is it on wheels too, or like a regular cooler?
No, this is actually just a soft-sided one I picked up, I think at Target a few years ago when it was on sale. And I really like it because I'm not going crazy distances or being out a long time, but because I might do 2 stores in one trip, sometimes even 3, it's, and then, we're heading to the 90s at this point. And so it needs to, I just feel better if I can keep them cooler longer.
Well, and that's handy too for restaurant leftovers. Like I try to remember. So I have the similar soft-sided cooler, but it's on like a kind of like a dolly that you can like fold and drag behind you. We bring it when we go on a beach vacation every year. And so we try to remember when we leave the condo that we stay in to go out to dinner, since it's usually dinner and then we hit the boardwalk for a while. We try to remember to bring ice packs for the cooler so that we can put any restaurant leftovers in there and they can hang out while we're playing skee ball at the arcade.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Or bonus, wintertime, one of the only, in my mind, perks is that it's cold enough out that you don't necessarily need to refrigerate things right away.
This is true. And we get that cold down here too. Well,
Yeah.
okay, maybe not your cold, but we get cold. Just not for as long.
When you get to those temperatures, people here are still wearing shorts. But yes, you definitely get cold too.
Okay, that's pretty fun. But yeah, it's true too, probably. So, okay, when you are trying to find when you are trying to find, a farmer's market in your area, whether is it open yet or are there new ones in your area? It seems like I remember you had mentioned a directory to me. How do you find the farmers markets? Like, whether they're just opening for the season and returning or whether they're brand new.
For mine locally, when I first would find out about ones, it's usually just through word of mouth or seeing signs around in various towns. I will say, depending on where you live, there might be a lot of different farmers markets in different cities or towns that are like related in a group. So like maybe Westchester County or whatever. If you go on their website, then you can find, here are the other ones that are also related. But there's a really great resource from the USDA that we'll link to in the show notes where you can plug in your location and you'll get a list of local markets for your area. And then honestly, if I'm going to be traveling, especially if I'm going somewhere like where I'll be staying for a couple of days, I'll just Google farmers market with the town name but always double check the hours and the day of the week, because nothing is more disappointing than rolling up on one that you're ready for those watermelons or tomatoes and it's not open.
Oh, yeah, that is very disappointing. But it also makes me think too, as you were talking, that I actually see these, I've seen them advertised on Facebook as well. Kind of, and those tend to be more the community ones, but the strawberry field not a farmer's market per se, but the place I like to go pick strawberries at, and they usually have other flowers or vegetables at the same times too. They have a Facebook page, and I know to go on and start, like in April, I'm like, okay, let's start checking the page. Are the strawberries ready yet? So I that just reminded me of that a lot of farmers will have their own Facebook pages, and you could check that, or Instagram pages. So that would be a place to check too.
Or like I know, especially when we start driving south toward Maryland, a lot of times we'll see signs on the side of the road for like, pick your own peaches or blueberries or whatever. So sometimes either if you can stop right then, go ahead, but you can look up the name of the orchard or the farm or whatever and just see if they have options like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to find them.
Yeah. We hope this has inspired you to support the people behind your local food scene. Find the show notes for this episode at passingtheplate.org/66.
Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Passing the Plate. We hope you enjoyed our journey into the world of food, traditions, and the amazing connections they create.
As always, it's been a pleasure sharing these delicious stories with you. Remember, food is more than just sustenance. It's a way to connect the dots between our past, present, and future.
And until next time, happy eating, happy connecting, and pass the plate. Head to passingtheplate.org/podcast for show notes.